The countdown is on as the ESPN College Game Day crew prepares to take the stage at Coastal Carolina University. We have team coverage from WMBF's Gabe McDonald and Jennifer Roberts on tomorrow's historic day in Horry County. Plus, Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold has your game day forecast. Join us right after the lottery.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WMBF News at 7.
Good evening to you. We're glad you're with us for your news at 7 o'clock. I'm Eric Weisfeld. We have team coverage on the huge Coastal Carolina BYU football game in just a minute. First, though, your certified, most accurate forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold. And Jamie, before the game, we have to get through some showers first.
Yes, some wet and windy weather still on tap as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Starting to see the leading edge of that moving in now with a couple of showers here moving across the Grand Strand. Brief little downpour crossing right over 22 and 31 here, not too far from Grand Dunes and the Tanger outlets. A couple of sprinkles from Loris back over towards Conway, but the main action still remains back off to our west. Notice western North Carolina back to the upstate. Pretty impressive line of downpours here and occasionally a thunder and lightning strike. That's what arrives here as we head through the overnight hours tonight, closer towards midnight. Let's say 10 p.m. tonight through about 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's the focus of most of the rain, but that's also where we focus most of the wind. And that wind may grab your attention and wake you up overnight tonight. We're talking about those winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe even an isolated gust of 50 miles per hour right along the beaches. But it all clears out just in time for daybreak on Saturday as we turn cooler and drier, kicking off the weekend. I'll have that full weekend forecast and a closer look at that wind and rain overnight tonight coming up.
Well, if you haven't heard, where have you been? There's a huge football game being played right here in the Grand Strand. The undefeated 14th ranked Coastal Carolina Chanticleers are hosting the 8th ranked, also undefeated, BYU Cougars at Brooks Stadium tomorrow. Kickoff is set for 5:30. WMBF Sports Director Gabe McDonald joins us now from outside the stadium. And Gabe, for CCU, this really is the biggest game of the program.
Most definitely, Eric. In less than 24 hours, Brooks Stadium will host its first top 25 matchup in history. Both Coastal and BYU enter tomorrow 9-0, with the winners setting themselves up nicely for a shot at a New Year's Six bowl game. Now, calling the Chant season special would be an understatement. Jamie Chadwell and staff have this team playing at a level that we haven't seen since they've joined the FBS. Now, this will be a challenge unlike any other for Coastal, and having to prepare on just 2 days' notice doesn't make things any easier. However, this team has shown plenty of maturity all season and developed a mentality that they'll play anybody anywhere, especially since there were so many questions coming into the season on if they'd even play or not.
We'll be ready to roll on Saturday because if we make a big deal out of it, how, you know, from a coaching standpoint, we don't have enough this, don't have enough that, then your players react to that way. And one thing that we've tried to do in our program is, hey, whatever happens, we'll adjust to it and adapt and adjust. And that's one of the, you know, the foundations, I think, of our whole athletic department. You just find a way to adapt and adjust. And so let's go play. Let's ready to get kicked off.
Kickoff set for 5:30. The Chants just announcing that they will don their all-black uniforms for the matchup. In addition to the historical game, tomorrow for the first time, ESPN will host College Game Day at Brooks Stadium. WMBF News reporter Jennifer Roberts talked with the host of College Game Day earlier today. Jennifer, I can only imagine how excited he is to bring the show to the Grand Strand.
You bet he is, Gabe. The stakes are high for both CCU and BYU in tomorrow's game. But let me tell you this, ESPN sports analyst told me they are ready to talk about it. Reese Davis is the host of ESPN's College Game Day show. He told me there will be lots to discuss on the sports panel tomorrow morning because of the storylines surrounding this game. CCU was originally scheduled to play Liberty. To everyone's surprise, Liberty canceled due to COVID-19 concerns just a few days before kickoff. Shortly after, officials confirmed BYU would play CCU instead. Davis says his panel will be discussing all this information, including ESPN sports analyst David Pollock. I talked with Pollock earlier today. He told me one of his biggest storylines on his mind is how BYU traveled from Utah to South Carolina within a few days' notice to play this game.
Is super excited that a team in that short of notice would take on a challenge like that. That's not easy to do. It's not fun to do. They had to send their trucks out, for goodness sakes, before they even knew this game was finalized to get them here on time and to get them across the country. So I think it went from, hey, it was an awesome game to, hey, it's an even better game. Let's get weird.
Yeah, you can hear just right there. You definitely want to tune in to College Game Day tomorrow. It airs at 9 a.m. on ESPN. Now, some people feel that the CCU and BYU game should be airing on ESPN as well instead of ESPNU. Now, you know I asked the ESPN sports analyst to weigh in on that as well. You can hear from them tonight at 11. Back to you, Gabe.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. From one ESPN personality to another. Today we spoke with Ryan McGee, co-host of Marty and McGee, about just how impressive CCU's run has been. He says the Chants aren't just fun to watch, but they are the real deal.
I think a month ago when they're like 5-0 and they've cracked the top 25, but yet there's still big chunks of college football that aren't even playing games yet, it just felt like a great story. But as November rolled along and as we hit December, I think everyone around the nation realized, oh, this isn't just a great story. This isn't quirky. This is a really good football team.
And it was just announced that Coastal alum and Masters champion Dustin Johnson will be the guest speaker tomorrow morning on College Game Day. We'll have much more CCU coverage coming up at 7:30, including what tomorrow's game means not only to the fans, but CCU President Dr. David DeCenzo. Stay tuned for all that. From outside Brooks Stadium, Gabe McDonald, WMBF News.
All right, Gabe, it won't be long now. Thank you. And now, while we're all looking forward to that game, scammers are looking to take advantage of your excitement. University officials say they've been told of fake tickets and barcodes being sold on social media. They want to remind you that game is sold out. They're asking you fans to be vigilant when buying tickets from third-party resale sites not affiliated with the university like StubHub. Call the number on your screen to report anything you may know about that scam. More in your Crime Watch tonight. The two people wanted in connection to a September shooting in Conway are now in custody. These two, Anquan Smoot and Janisha Dozier, are being held at the J. Reuben Long Detention Center. Smoot is charged with 5 counts of attempted murder. Dozier faces an accessory to a felony charge. Their charges stem from a shooting on Boundary Street back on September 22nd. Police say someone shot into an apartment and a vehicle parked in front of that residence. Another suspect, Perry Taylor, was arrested last month during a traffic stop. However, a fourth person, Reginald Evans Jr., is still wanted in this case and remains at large. Staying in Conway, we're working to learn more about a possible drowning in Conway in a neighborhood there. Officials were called to a retention pond in the area of Kiskadee Loop. That's in the Wild Wing Plantation. It happened around 12:45 this afternoon. Officials say a dive team was deployed. One person was taken to the hospital. No word on that person's condition tonight. Today, members of the community came together on the 12th anniversary of the day baby boy Ori was found. And since then, a memorial is held each year to honor the newborn found abandoned and dead in a shopping bag on the side of the road. Earlier this year, police identified and charged a woman believed to be the infant's mother. Horry County Coroner Robert Edge, you just saw, leads a memorial each year and says this could actually be the last year for the event now that someone may be held responsible.
As I said before, we try to keep his name in front of everybody. But today he's going to have a family who will love to cherish his thoughts and his memories. And that's a heartache that's been taken away from us.
Jennifer Saar is the woman accused of leaving baby boy Ori on the side of the road more than a decade ago. Authorities say that she was a student at Coastal Carolina University at the time of the infant's death and the birth and discovery. They also say scientific evidence is what led them to her earlier this year. Saar is charged with homicide by child abuse. Coming up, a South Carolina company has become a top supplier of PPE around the country. We're going to take you inside their warehouse and show you how they're working to help fill shortages.
Now, the certified most accurate forecast from First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
Well, First Alert Doppler radar showing us a damp Friday evening as expected, although still plenty of breaks in the showers out there right now. We've got some light rain and sprinkles coming through Horry County with one little downpour crossing over Highway 9 between Loris and Longs. Slightly heavier rain now coming through southern Marion County into southern Florence County, and as that lifts its way to the north, Marion into Florence going to get in on some of the shower activity. But as I mentioned at the top of the newscast, most of the action is still channel off to our west, but it arrives here as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Let's show that to you with future radar, with again a scattering of showers, but plenty of breaks in between right now. But notice as we work our way through the late evening towards 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight, we see a more solid area of rain moving through, but it's moving through in a hurry. So we're going to focus that rain around midnight, but then we're going to get it out of here in a very big way. Notice after about 3 a.m. we're done with the rain, and by the time we head towards 6 o'clock Saturday morning, even the clouds will be out of here. So most of the weather coming through while we're sleeping overnight tonight. Although some bumps in the night may wake you up because of the winds that will be blowing pretty strong as we head into the late night hours tonight. Notice 10 to 11 o'clock, we start to see those gusts coming into the PD up to 40 miles per hour. We bring that to the beaches as we work our way to midnight and shortly thereafter as a strong cold front moves through. Those winds don't last too long, though. They die down as we head towards daybreak on Saturday. Still breezy tomorrow morning and also turning much cooler, but quiet as we head through the day Saturday. Notice future radar giving us clear skies, temperatures in the mid-50s tomorrow, clear and cold into the 30s on Saturday night, and then a nice day on Sunday with a couple of clouds thickening up late in the day. But by the time we head back to work on Monday, here comes our next rainmaker with a chilly rain developing heading into the day on Monday. So your Myrtle Beach 7-day forecast, getting all that wind and rain out of here so that tomorrow is sunny and 56. A chilly 37 tomorrow night, 54 on Sunday, and there's that cool wet weather for Monday, followed by some cold weather on Tuesday. Daytime temperatures into the 40s, nighttime temperatures down to the freezing mark. And for Florence into the PD, it's also wet and windy for you overnight tonight, but it's gone tomorrow. We climb up to 56. Frosty tomorrow night at 34, and then 54 heading into Sunday afternoon with plenty of sunshine.
South Carolina is reporting the highest number of daily coronavirus infections since the start of the pandemic. The Department of Health and Environmental Control reported 2,470 new cases today. Of those, Horry County saw 113 additional cases. Florence County saw 66. Right now, the percentage of tests coming back positive is at 21.4%. As coronavirus case numbers continue to rise, some facilities are facing PPE shortages. In fact, a recent AARP study reports nearly 20% of nursing homes only have a week's supply of PPE on hand. But a South Carolina distribution company is working to help meet that growing demand. Gray Media's Caroline Colbert explains.
Since May, this company has become a top provider of PPE to healthcare facilities, hospitals, and schools. But one of their biggest goals is to help frontline workers in underserved communities. Rhino Medical Supply in Columbia has grown from a garage to this 12,000 square foot warehouse in just 5 months.
We're extremely busy. In the last 14 days, we've sold over 600,000 masks.
CEO Lance Brown is a former Wells Fargo executive, but when the pandemic hit, he saw the need for PPE. He wanted to help the small hospital systems that were at the bottom of the line for supplies.
The bigger states and the bigger systems had a priority. So the bigger, New York, they were getting everything because they needed everything. If you were a larger hospital system, you had more allocation than a smaller system. So part of our mission and what really drove us is to be able to help the guys who needed the same level of protection but wasn't able to get it because the bigger guys were taking them up.
Rhino accepts orders as small as 60 and as large as 120,000. With the help of 2 U.S. manufacturers, they're able to supply masks, gowns, sanitizer, and even gloves.
When it's U.S. made, you're not waiting 30, 60 days to get something. It can ship out the same day.
The company is also giving back to those who can't afford supplies.
PPE for Good is the initiative, and it's a foundation that we're going to start. So up until this point, we've donated over 80,000 masks.
And while the pandemic put this South Carolina company in business, they don't want it to be the reason they stay in business.
We pray, like everybody else, that COVID ends tomorrow.
As case numbers rise, Rhino Medical Supply says the need for PPE is also rising. In just 4 days this week, the company shipped out more than 600,000 masks, and come January, they expect that number to be in the millions.
Well, right now across the nation, there are more than 14 million positive coronavirus cases. The death toll also continues to rise, now sitting at more than 1.5 million. However, more than 42 million people have recovered from the virus. To help improve the recovery numbers and prevent more cases from popping up, President-elect Joe Biden says he plans on asking the country to help slow the spread of the coronavirus with 100 days of mask wearing.
Ask the public for 100 days to mask. Just 100 days. to mask. Not forever, 100 days. And I think we'll see a significant reduction if that occurs with vaccinations and masking to drive down the numbers considerably.
The first 100 days of a new presidency is symbolically important in the U.S. and is seen as a gauge of how a president will get things done. However, constitutional experts say a president has no legal authority to order Americans to wear masks, but Biden says he and Vice President Kamala Harris would set an example by wearing face coverings. And Biden asked Dr. Anthony Fauci to stay on in his role as chief medical advisor. Dr. Fauci says he accepted the offer right on the spot. He says he spoke with Biden's agency review team about the state of the pandemic and how critical it is to wear a mask and socially distance as we head toward Christmas.
Please, as best as you can, uniform wearing of masks, keep distances as to the best possible way you can, avoid crowds in congregate settings, particularly indoors, and if you are indoors in that circumstance, always wear your mask.
Dr. Fauci says the most adverse effects from vaccines will take place between 30 to 45 days after taking them. Also tonight, 2 U.S. pharmacy chains are preparing to give out COVID vaccines as soon as there's a green light from the Food and Drug Administration. Mandy Gaither has more on how that distribution will work in tonight's Health Minute.
Healthcare workers and long-term care facility residents are set to get the first COVID vaccinations in the U.S.
Our plan is to be ready to go as early as December 15th, while waiting for the state approvals.
In October, the Trump administration announced agreements with CVS and Walgreens to vaccinate residents of long-term care facilities nationwide. The pharmacy chains already have a list of those organizations, says Dr. Troy Brennan, Chief Medical Officer for CVS Health.
We've basically got 31,000 locations where we're going to have to be doing the vaccination, and that's about 2 million patients. So we know who it is, where they are, and how many patients there are.
CVS plans to send teams to each of the facilities 3 times in the coming months. A team will consist of 2 vaccinators and 1 support staffer on average. Brennan says they're already working out details for vaccine distribution within each state and looking ahead.
Once we get into sort of general distribution, I suspect that not only ourselves and Walgreens, but there's going to be a number of other pharmacy chains and grocers who will be involved in it. And I think that using all those various outlets, we're going to have very good penetration across the United States. You'll get an appointment for both your first vaccination, your second vaccination, and then we will keep after you to make sure you come back for that second vaccination.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
For active duty military members, deployments and relocations part of the job, but can also be very stressful for military families as well. Next at 7, the extra steps one South Carolina school district is taking to make sure students are taken care of. Looking ahead now, the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Surfside Beach Pier is set to take place Monday at 11 in the morning. Number of guest speakers will be at the event, including South Carolina State Representative Russell Fry and a representative from the office of Congressman Tom Rice. Tuesday, crews started to tear down what was left of that pier that was all damaged during Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Construction on the new concrete pier is expected to take between 16 and 18 months, with a grand opening in 2022. As we take you across the Carolinas, thousands of active duty military members are stationed in South Carolina, many with young kids. This week, one school district is being recognized for bringing new resources to military families and making sure all students from those families feel welcomed and supported. Gray Media's Emily Wakeman has more.
Well, the Sumter County School District became a Purple Star School District yesterday, with programs aimed at taking all of the stress and anxiety away for military families relocating to the district. For many military families, relocation is part of the job. But one mother tells me that their kids having to move schools is one of the most stressful parts of moving for military families. The Purple Star designation is given by the South Carolina Department of Education to school districts who make a significant contribution to supporting military families. Sumter schools have a liaison for military families who is trained to help with relocations, deployment, and loss, as well as counselors at every school with this training.
Having a 6-year-old, sometimes it's hard on kids to cope with military transfers.
I think it's like a check box in your head that you're saying, well, before I can actually get focused in on the mission that the Air Force sent me here to do, I got to make sure my home front is settled.
They also have a student ambassador program and programs that help students join clubs and sports if they transfer after tryouts. Now, the Sumter County Superintendent says with Shaw Air Force Base in the district, they want to do everything they can to say thank you to military families for their service.
All right, out there this Friday evening, it's mild. Temperatures up into the 60s, but rain and wind increasing as we head through these next couple of hours. Your certified most accurate forecast next on WMBF News at 7:30.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WMBF News at 7:30.
WMBF News continues at 7:30. Thanks for sticking with us this Friday evening. And while all eyes are on tomorrow's huge Coastal Carolina game, our First Alert weather team is tracking some rain heading into tonight. For an update, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold. Good evening.
Good evening, Eric. And we are seeing some of those scattered showers blowing their way into the area here this evening. We'll start you off here across Horry County with a couple of sprinkles and light showers. Surfside Beach, Garden City down into Myrtle's Inlet. We got some light rain that has just pulled its way north of Coastal over towards Conway. Aynor to Galvin's Ferry into Marion and Centenary, dealing with some of those spottier showers. But the main action does still remain back here to our west. Pretty good cluster of downpours here and some gusty winds coming through the upstate, now beginning to approach Columbia. It's that weather that arrives here as we head through the overnight hours tonight and gives us decreasing weather trends. Notice here as we head through future radar, 11 o'clock or so is when the core of that starts to work its way in, but it quickly gets out of here as we head towards daybreak tomorrow with nothing but sunshine for Saturday. Before then, though, it's wet and windy. Now, the rain going to be brief, fast-moving showers, so we're not talking about big rainfall totals, mainly through about 2 a.m. The wind, though, that's going to be pretty impressive, especially between about 10 and 11 o'clock through about 3 a.m. tomorrow. 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts. Could have a couple of gusts right on the beaches, 45 to 50 miles per hour. Thankfully, though, the threat of any severe weather is slim to none here across our area. Most of that confined up to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I'll take a closer look at the forecast heading through the weekend, and yet another rainmaker on the way for next week coming up.
Our team coverage on tomorrow's huge CCU versus BYU matchup continues at 7:30. And not only is this a big deal for the football program, but for the fans and alumni at CCU as well. WMBF News reporter Catherine Phillips spent the day speaking with students and alumni who are here for the game.
Now, a lot of students actually are home right now because of the Thanksgiving holiday and classes going remote after the holiday weekend. But upon hearing the news, many students decided to come back or are on their way back for the game. I spoke to freshman Sean Campbell, who's from Myrtle Beach. He says growing up, he was a Clemson fan and always saw big football games and college game day come to Clemson. He says to him, having game day at Coastal is special to him because he's from this area. Campbell has a ticket and says he is so ready and excited for tomorrow's game. I also caught up with some alumni who made their way back to campus for the game. Liam Berry graduated from CCU a few years ago. Berry says he remembers when the stadium was smaller and without the teal turf the Chants play on now. He says he hopes current students cherish this moment.
I don't think any student should take this moment for granted because not too many colleges or students get to see their college on national TV playing for such an amazing program, amazing coaches, an amazing school and a family of CCU.
Now, one change fans need to be aware of ahead of tomorrow's game is that the plans to have people in the stands of the baseball stadium next door and watching on a big screen are no longer taking place. CCU's athletic department says ESPN requested them not to do so because of logistical challenges. Reporting in Conway at CCU, Catherine Phillips, WMBF News.
And CCU has a traffic and pedestrian safety plan in place for tomorrow's game. Take a close look at your screen. University Boulevard from Highway 544 to Chanticleer Drive West will be closed. Before the game, all westbound traffic on University Boulevard will need to turn on Chanticleer Drive West or onto Quail Run Road. Those are the green arrows that you see there. After the game, all traffic will need to go east on University Boulevard to Highway 501. Well, as you can tell, a lot of people are excited about the Coastal Carolina football team's success this season, but this season has been especially exciting for CCU's president, Dr. David DeCenzo. That's because this is his last season as president of the school. Our Patrick Lloyd spoke with DeCenzo about how he's feeling as his time at the helm comes to a close.
DeCenzo has less than a month until he hands over the reins of presidency of CCU over to Dr. Michael Benson, but he says this football season has without a doubt been the highlight of his presidency so far. He's been in charge of the school for the last 13 and a half years, and he says this is exactly what he, along with the folks at the athletic department, have been hoping for this school for such a long time. He says he knew this team always had potential, and he's extremely excited to see them live up to it.
This is the stuff we dreamed about, again, years ago. And, when we moved into the Sun Belt, I remember the commissioner at the time saying, what he saw at Coastal reminded him so much of Boise State. And he said, mark my words, you all keep moving forward. You're going to be, quote, the next Boise State.
DeCenzo says he's hoping to finish his time as president with CCU playing in a New Year's Six bowl game. That certainly would be a great way to go out on top. Reporting in Conway, Patrick Lloyd, WMBF News.
And here's an interesting note about CCU's next president, Michael Benson. He was actually born in Utah, earned his bachelor's degree cum laude from BYU. So as you can imagine, many questioned where his loyalties will lie tomorrow. Well, he took to social media to answer that question. In the tweet, with his family all decked out in Coastal gear, he says, Team Benson is all in with the Chanticleers. And remember, we want to see how you're celebrating game day tomorrow. That big game. Snap a picture of your sign, submit it either online at WMBFnews.com or through the WMBF News app. And if you do, we could even highlight it live right here on the air. Still ahead, helping low-income families save on their utility bills. What one nonprofit is doing to their homes to help cut down on their charges. In your consumer news tonight, Southwest Airlines says it might have to furlough 6,800 employees this spring. Affected positions would include ground crews, customer service agents, flight attendants, and pilots. A union representing some of those employees is currently negotiating in hopes of preserving jobs. Its economic advisor says the airline has about $15 billion on hand. Southwest has never laid off workers in its history, even earlier in the pandemic when other airlines did so. The U.S. added 246,000 jobs last month, well below analyst projections, and a slowdown from October's increase. Despite the fact that the unemployment rate dropped, analysts say the overall participation rate in the economy also fell. They say that's an indication of a weakening economy. A Lowcountry nonprofit helping low-income families save on their utility bills by making improvements to their homes. And it is saving families hundreds of dollars a month. Gray Media's Alexis Simmons has a look at these weatherproofing projects and the other support services available.
Eleanor Logan says she was paying $300 a month for utilities.
Before this, I would hate to come in the house because it was cold and I would turn this on and that, but now I'm doing really, really good.
That's because the Palmetto Community Action Partnership stepped in to weatherproof her home. They sealed doors and windows to prevent air from coming in and out, provided new filters, added air vents to her bathrooms, and more. She says now her bill is $100 or less, and she is so grateful for the help.
I was so satisfied that I rearranged my whole house. So now the house is so comfortable.
The CEO of Palmetto CAP and their development coordinator says they provide several resources, including employment help, rent and utility bill assistance, food and housing support, among other things.
Wanting to do what we can within the community to make a difference and to see people succeed.
They receive government funding for those who meet income qualifications, but the need in the community goes beyond that, so they also rely on donations.
We've seen so many people who are in need, and you just feel like you need to reach out and try to help.
They typically serve more than 12,000 people a year, and that number is growing due to the pandemic.
Coming up, Vice President Mike Pence made a stop in Georgia today in support of two Republican Georgia U.S. senators. The message he shared about the importance of this race.
Now, the certified most accurate forecast from First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
Well, just a little bit wet out there right now, but turning increasingly wetter and windier as we head closer towards midnight. Going to make for kind of a bumpy night around here as temperatures, especially after midnight, slip back into the low 50s. But we've been saying all along this was a fast mover, and by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, we're back into sunshine and a much drier day tomorrow, breezy and cool. Afternoon temperatures climbing their way into the 50s. Right now, First Alert Doppler radar showing a pretty good area of rain beginning to approach from the south, coming up from the low country into Georgetown County. That's going to bring some showers into our area over the next hour. Then a bit of a break, and then the main action here back across the upstate of South Carolina. Notice that little line of downpours right there. We'll be watching that as we head through the night. That's what may try to deliver some of those strong wind gusts at times. Now, as far as those rain chances go, they're the highest as we head through these next couple of hours through about midnight. After midnight, though, those rain chances quickly drop off. And notice by 5 a.m. tomorrow, it is completely dry. So even if you're an early riser on the weekend, yeah, the rain will be long gone, even sunshine to make for a nice sunrise tomorrow morning. But it's roughly the same time frame, again, focused on midnight, when we see the strongest wind gusts that will be possible. Winds out there right now, very light, 5-10 miles per hour, but a quick ramp up near midnight. That's when we see some of those gusts of 40 miles per hour, maybe even an isolated gust up to 45 or 50 miles per hour, especially right down on the beaches and Ocean Boulevard with that wind coming in off the ocean. But by tomorrow, again, it's all out of here. Sunshine and 56 for both the Grand Strand and the PD. Sunshine and 50s again heading into the day on Sunday. But as we head back to work on Monday, here comes our next rainmaker. This one not as energetic. So we're not talking about strong winds or any kind of heavy rain, just kind of a chilly, damp, light rain kind of a day as we head through the day on Monday. So notice here on your Myrtle Beach 7-day forecast, after tonight's wet and windy weather, sunshine and 56 for Saturday. Chilly night tomorrow night down to 37 and 54 on Sunday. Down even a little more on Monday with that light rain around, and then much colder as we head towards Tuesday. Another day with temperatures in the 40s, nighttime temperatures down around the freezing mark Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Florence, your rain increases overnight tonight with the gusty winds, but gets out of here in a hurry for Saturday with sunny and 56 degrees, sunny and 54 on Sunday. There's that chilly weather though for Monday, and then a big drop in temperatures back to the upper 40s for high temperatures on Tuesday, and Tuesday night seeing those temperatures dropping back into the 20s again.
New tonight, the U.S. House approved a bill that would end the federal ban on marijuana. It is the first time a Chamber of Commerce has voted on the issue. That bill would remove marijuana from the federal list of controlled substances, effectively decriminalizing the drug across the nation. If passed by both chambers of Congress, individual states would still have to legalize marijuana. Hundreds came out to rally for two Georgia U.S. senators headed to a runoff race, including Vice President Mike Pence. He spoke with supporters in Savannah today. Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are both in key races. Senator Loeffler was not able to attend because one of her campaign staff members died in a crash. Supporters heard from many Republican lawmakers, including Senator Perdue and the Vice President Mike Pence himself.
I mean, you all know what the stakes are here in Georgia. Chuck Schumer said it, couldn't have said it more clearly. He said, quote, "Now we take Georgia, then we change America." I got a message for Chuck, Washington Democrats. We're going to keep Georgia. We're going to save the Senate, and then we're going to save America.
The vice president encouraged everyone to get out and vote in the runoff election in January. He says the president is still fighting the results of the election, but that doesn't mean voters shouldn't trust the process. And while the average American is being advised not to go home for the holidays, the White House is keeping its plans to celebrate with big bashes. As CNN's Tom Foreman reports now, they say there will be some safety measures put in place because of the pandemic.
We love it. Amid the cheers, the unmasked smiles, and the grinning VIPs, or at least Kid Rock, you would think there is no pandemic on Pennsylvania Avenue, according to reports from DailyMail.com.
But it's been an amazing 4 years. We're trying to do another 4 years, otherwise I'll see you in 4 years.
Indeed, the White House has more than a dozen holiday parties on tap, and hundreds of invitations are flowing out to events at the State Department, despite repeated COVID outbreaks among the staff. Sound crazy as the administration's own health team is warning Americans we're in a very dangerous place? Not to Team Trump.
We will engage in the celebration of Christmas, and there will be a Hanukkah celebration as well.
Like a sweater from your grandma, it's really no surprise. White House gatherings have already triggered 3 coronavirus outbreaks, leaving several big Republicans, plus the First Lady and President testing positive.
I was in not great shape, and we have a medicine that healed me, that fixed me. It's a great medicine.
Yet Trump returned from the hospital to dramatically remove his mask, and it has rarely shown up since. Even today, as he stood right up against legendary football coach Lou Holtz to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I put a mask on, when I think I need it.
The First Lady's chief of staff told CNN, yeah, we're implementing safety measures, temperature checks, smaller guest list, mask will be required and available, social distancing encouraged, and hand sanitizer stations. But photos posted by attendees show little sign of all that and look a whole lot like pictures of the crowded, jovial, stylish parties in non-pandemic times. And the comments around those photos seem to reflect no concern whatsoever, frequently describing these White House evenings as magical and perfect and even hot, although perhaps they mean that in a viral sense.
We're taking you to the PD next at 7:30 for more on a unique type of holiday event happening right now at the Florence Center. WMBF's Cameron Crowe has the details in just 3 minutes. With Christmas just around the corner, ice is on the ground in Florence. The Florence Center's ice skating rink is now open to the public. You can check it out through the first week in January. WMBF News reporter Cameron Crowe, he checked it out. In fact, he spoke with a staff member about what it means to bring this event back to the community, even during a pandemic.
Things are slower this year at the Florence Center due to COVID-19, but it's not stopping them from skating into the new year with some fun. Its public ice skating rink opened today for the season.
We are going to give the community a sense of Christmas spirit, something that I believe is very much needed this year.
When ice skating, sometimes you're going to fall, but then you've got to get back on your feet. That's how the Florence Center is looking at this opportunity, after the coronavirus called off a number of usual events. In recent months, they've been able to get back to holding events including a carnival, graduations, and luncheons. Now with Christmas around the corner, they're hosting another event, public ice skating.
2020 has been a very strange year, and anything we can do to make people feel normal and make people feel happy, I feel like we should do that.
Marketing coordinator Brandon Ryback says the Florence Center staff discussed holding ice skating this year and decided if they could do it safely, the event should go on. Like previous events, the Florence Center has safety precautions in place. Masks will be required, all frequently touched surfaces will be wiped down, and hand sanitizer is placed throughout the arena.
There will be somebody that will be skating around on the rink the entire time to wipe down all these barriers the entire time that people are in the building. We will sanitize after everybody leaves the building, and every time somebody touches the pairs of skates, they will be sanitized after each use as well.
Ryback says the Florence Center is responsible for entertaining the community and giving them something to do, a mission that continues even during a pandemic.
Whether it's a last-minute event cancellation or an artist doesn't show up or something just goes haywire, here at the Florence Center, the show always goes on.
More information on times and prices for the Florence Center's ice skating rink can be found on my web story at WMBFnews.com. Reporting in Florence, I'm Cameron Crowe, WMBF News.
Well, turning pretty wet here across the beaches this evening. An area of light rain working its way right up the Grand Strand over the past 30 to 45 minutes. And that's going to continue off and on. Then we'll likely see another round of some heavier downpours that comes closer to midnight as these heavier downpours back here across the upstate into central South Carolina begin to work their way through. And it's also within this band that we may see some of those 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts that try to develop. So again, we're focusing, let's say 10 o'clock through about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning for most of the wind, most of the rain, but again, it's all out of here by daybreak tomorrow. In fact, we start the day sunny and in the low 50s, a little bit breezy, but the strong winds from overnight tonight will be over with. Also setting us up for a beautiful forecast for game day, coastal Carolina and Brigham Young, 56. If you're going to be doing some tailgating, low 50s for that 5:30 kickoff, but notice those clear skies. Take that jacket though. Temperatures dropping to the upper 40s to near 50 as we work our way past sunset tomorrow evening.
Jamie and I are back at 11 o'clock. What a ministry group in North Carolina is doing to lift up people during these tough times. And of course, for updates on all of our top stories, log on to WMBFnews.com. We also have the very latest on the coronavirus there for you as well. We will have complete coverage of the huge game this weekend when you join us tonight on WMBF News at 11 o'clock. Have a safe evening.